What's going on, podcast? It is Cooper. Welcome to Cooperville Podcast. Is proudly brought to you by Midwest Meals at midwestmeals.com. You didn't listen to the podcast enough. You didn't quite get the message we were trying to send that you need to get on your game before the new year. That's okay. Midwest Meals will have your meal planning issues taken care of. 12 rotating meals plus 10% off your first order if you use the promo code Cooper at checkout. We're talking your macros counted, everything you need to maintain that diet as you get into the new year for that new and better and healthier you so you can live forever. MidwestMeals.com. Again, the promo code is Cooper. Hockey season's in full effect and you need the gear. ViolentGentleman.com, and we got your discount code with Cooperville15 at checkout for 15% off your order. You need some hoodies for those cold winter months? Need a new jersey? Beanies, hats, ladies wear, they've got it all at violentgentleman.com. And even in the cold winter months, if you're up here from the Midwest, your private area downtown still gets a little stinky sweaty. Well, my friends at Ballsy, proud inventors of ball wash, they've all got you taken care of. Promo code is Cooper for 15% off at checkout at ballwash.com. And of course, Monster Energy, keeping the Welcome to Cooperville podcast fueled and energized, and they have been for a while. Monster Hydro, of course, a post-workout drink with that energy kick, the focus and hydration that your body needs. Monster's Ultra Series with 0 calories, 0 sugar. And of course, Reign, their pre-workout cocktails. Hashtag Monster Podcasts. This one was good. Had to sit down with Jim Breuer, co-owner of Momentum Fitness, as well as Adam Gardner from Hello Adorn. We talked about 2020 goals, setting them for your body, for your physical fitness, for your health, also for business, young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs like myself. It was a great conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Jim Breuer, Adam Gardner, that episode starts right now.
Welcome to Cooperville, the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. On demand anywhere quality podcasts are available, and some places where cheap podcasts are available.
At the local gas station has some.
Subscribe, get updates, feel better about your life. Welcome to Cooperville.com.
Check. Welcome to Cooperville. Make sure you use a coaster. The wife gets upset when we leave rings on the tables.
This already feels like it's going to be a dangerous podcast, so we're just letting out a little forewarning before we get started here. Two gentlemen that have been on their individual podcast episodes before. Adam Gardner from Hello Adorn is here. Jim Breuer from Momentum Fitness is here. Gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we had a nice elongated conversation about really every topic under the sun before this thing started. So I feel that we're nice and warmed up and ready to take this thing on. And what I wanted to have you guys in for, Adam came on and we talked about kind of entrepreneurship and really we dived. I was listening to both of your episodes before we had this one. We really dived a lot into next generational things and how this business ownership is kind of becoming something that is being ingrained in much younger demographics now, because it is something that with technology the way it is, something that is more of a real position than I think it has been in the past.
So more accessible.
It's we talked about my kid getting paperwork sent home about what's an entrepreneur, how do you start your own business, and I'm like, great. He's hoping for like YouTube star. I just saw though at one of the top earning YouTube stars of 2019 made like $26 million, and he's 8
years old.
8 years old.
Reviewing toys or something, right?
So my kid's got high aspirations. Yeah, like get all to Disney, we'll make some things happen. And Jim Breuer from Momentum Fitness. Obviously, we're in a fun time of year where the hardcore stay hardcore, through the holidays. They push through everything. This is their time to be like, yeah, we're here. The gym's clear. It's like Jonestown the morning after when you go into the gym this time of year. And then Jan 1 hits and everybody's got their resolutions and the flood of people come in. So there's a lot, kind of to look at in 2020, not only being a new year, but really the start of a new decade. It's something that I think dawned on me like in September. I'm like, wow, we're really coming to the end of a decade. It just doesn't seem like it has the nostalgia of, the 80s, the 70s had a nostalgia and the 80s did and the 90s and, the 2000s. And now we're like, oh yeah, it's 2020. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
It's going to go in a new direction here. So as we look at the new year, and Jim, I'll start with you. people setting fitness goals and setting things they want to accomplish in the new year. And I think both of you can attest to this, that it's all kind of fits together. It's all part of one cohesive unit. When you talk about being physically fit or healthy, eating healthy, really lends to great things in all other aspects of your life. What are some of the things when you have people that come in, this time of year, as we get to that January 1st, when the resolutions come out and I have this, and this goal, what are some of the things when you're bringing new people in that you tell them to keep them kind of out of that, 13 or 15 days, I think is the average time for resolution to go to shit. How do you keep people engaged in, hey, we're playing the long game here?
Sure. So, you kind of ask yourself, what is a resolution? Mm-hmm. Why do we have them? And I'm not a big fan on New Year's resolutions. Right. And I did Google the statistic along with you. So you got the 13 days is how long they last. Yep. So in the fitness realm, 70% of people, of course, it's always 70%, will have a fitness-related goal, but only 6% will accomplish it. Mm-hmm. So by saying, I have this New Year's resolution, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. Right. So my suggestion, or kind of a way to look at it, is the resolution is going to be your first look at having an awareness that you may have a problem or have something that is a pain point. Right. And when we spoke last time, we talked about what is your why. And it's kind of like overused term. I think 2019, maybe some of 18 too, will be about the why, your purpose, your why. So we're going to still continue to do that into the 2020 in the fitness realm, is find out their why. But I think the biggest thing to kind of look at is they're aware of something. Okay. So we're going to dive into that. And then the next step is ultimately making a plan and holding them accountable. So I did make a few notes, because everything needs to be a top 5 list in this world. And you show yourself you're aware. And another option too, instead of viewing it more as I need to do this, maybe it's something that instead of doing, you quit doing something else. All right. So in the process, I always look at it. You could be, if you're, let's use addiction, for example, and let's start with like tobacco. Mm-hmm. If you're smoking a pack a day, you're like, I'm going to have New Year's resolution, I'm going to quit. I'm going to suggest maybe you get a jump start, or maybe you cut down 1 cigarette a day, or maybe you cut back a little bit now. So that become January 1st, you're not setting yourself up to fail. So the one thing that I would suggest everyone does is, if you have an idea, if it's fitness related, looking to quit something, is start a little bit at a time right now today. And something we do with people who do start our journey is we kind of talk to them about, maybe nutrition. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you to go right now, go buy all these vegetables and start cooking right away. But maybe you download MyFitnessPal and you just start to do a little bit. Navigate the app a little bit. Mm-hmm. Don't say you have to log your food, just navigate it. Just do a little bit each day, and that will start to pay out more and more by the time we get to January 1. But my suggestion is start now. Why wait? Mm-hmm.
That's like that crawl, walk, run, is what I'm thinking when you say that. Because that was my struggle. So I found fitness stability, I guess I would say, in Jim's gym, about 4 years ago. But prior to that, my problem, I was always the 15-day guy. Right. And it always started on a Monday, right? I always had a Monday diet. So that would allow me the weekend to do whatever I wanted, right? Yeah. But my problem was I would always be like, man, I'm going to start, let's say, running, right? I'm going to run 5 days a week. 3.5 miles, boom, boom, boom. And you can do that for about 10 days. And then you're like, yeah, screw this. Or you get shin splints or whatever else happens. Right. And I remember my brother having that conversation with me, who had already found his fitness routine. And he's like, why don't you just go twice a week? Start running or start walking, walk 3 days a week, run 2 days, something like that. But I think all of us, we want to go from 0 to 60 with everything we do, So it's I want to go from not doing anything at all to being a consistent everyday runner. Right. And there might not be a lot of reality behind that. So to your point, what you're saying, I needed to realize and be okay with, because his point to me was, well, dude, 2 days a week is better than what you're doing now. Right. And it's truth, fair enough. Right.
Millimeter by millimeter, as you continue to evolve, you're still going that direction, and give yourself rewards along the way. So many people have the end goal in mind that they forget about what's the journey leading up to that end goal. Because those are the pieces that were kind of probably the hardest. Yeah. Maybe it was saying no to a friend who offered you a cigarette on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. And you're like, actually, I'm quit smoking, so no thank you. Yeah. That's probably one of the hardest things. Yep. Or I'm going to go for a run with my mom. My mom's going to go with me. And even if she's going a little bit slower, I know it's better than her not going for a run with me at all. Yeah. And I think there's in a world that we live in right now, everything is, and we talked about going from 0 to 60
instantaneously. We live in the fastest paced world that has ever existed. And it's really only getting faster. You know, we're moving to 5K, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, we're going to be at 5K." You know, buy your 5K TV, get your 5K, MP3 player. Yeah, that may be a little outdated, but that's what people want. Is they want instant gratification as soon as they see something. You know, you go on Instagram and you see a fitness model. It may not even be for something that you follow. You may not follow XYZ fitness model. You may follow Harley Davidson, and Harley Davidson has a picture of a lady or a guy. Then you're like, man, that's what I want to look like. That's my, how can I get there as fast as I possibly can?
Yeah.
Because we're so used to instantaneous gratification there's a song I want to hear that's stuck in my head, and I ask one of the robots, and the robot says, "Here you go, here's your song." And, people have a hard time realizing that that's not reality when it comes to fitness, especially. It's not that way when it comes to starting a business or growing a business. And as soon as an obstacle gets in your way, as soon as you get a shin splint, or as soon as you sleep through your alarm, or you miss a day at the gym, everything comes crumbling down. The world ends, and there's your 15 days, and that's where, now we're back to either ground zero or below.
And I think like goals like take us into the future, right? Like that's where you get excited, because to your point, Jim, you were saying, like it puts you to that future, and you're already there. Like you're already looking at yourself and you're excited about when I get there. And I've been back to being a runner or whatever it is that you're looking to do. So it removes you from like the present, right? So like you go to the future and you're excited about that, but then it comes back to reality. Like what you were just saying, or Jim, what you were saying, one step at a time. Like where does it start? Does it start today? Or are we just talking about the future? Are we talking about this like hypothetically, or are we going to put something into play?
Right.
Because I think a lot of goals have strategy behind them, and you get excited about the future. That's why when you go to like sales meetings, or like I was a part of like a ton of rah meetings, right? Like any sales meeting, convention, anything like that. The premise behind it is get people excited, celebrate what you just did, get excited about the future. But then that's like on a Friday, people have a couple cocktails. They'd literally run through a wall for like these goals they're talking about, right?
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And then you go to the sales offices Monday morning, and it's just like, like, I don't want to be do here. You want to start now? Now that it's the day that you're supposed to do everything that's going to lead you to the excitement that you had over the weekend,
You come in, you're ready to take action.
Right.
People come in our doors, they did the hardest thing. They came in because they're ready to take action. What most people are missing with the New Year's resolutions when they try and do it themselves is lacking guidance or having a plan.
Right.
And that's in fitness. It can be in business.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have all this energy. Friday night, rah, ready to go. Saturday morning, how do I do that again? I don't know where to start.
Right.
So really having that plan in place. And another one is telling people, if you're going to do something, it's easy to tell yourself that, maybe I'll get, I was up a little late. I shouldn't get up early tomorrow. Right. But if you have someone to hold you accountable, or somebody to, bounce ideas off of, and if it's fitness related, you want a plan, I tell people free content, go to my website. Yeah. You can follow a plan right there. Every single day there's a workout posted that will give you structure, variance, scaling, progressions, and everything that you could possibly need to be successful. Now, accountability, that's telling somebody,
right?
It could be your mother, it could be your best friend, but also surround people that are also going to support that goal.
Yeah. So. I have, and this comes from the David Goggins book, Can't Hurt Me, The Accountability Mirror, which I think is like the first in line before you put, accountability out to others is you, if you go in my bathroom, because everything I have is all separate from what my wife has. Like my clothes are down here, my bathroom's down here. It's like, you just go down to your little cave and
kicked to the basement.
You go hang down there with your microphones and your friends. But, that's the first thing that, I'll look at in the morning is I get up and I'll, have inspirational quotes, and I'll have, but there are things that I have taken in and gotten from either an author or an inspirational speaker, and said, these are the anecdotal things that I want to tell myself every day. And then it's being accountable in person to somebody. It's also, I think, as double-edged sworded as it is to put something out on social media that you're accomplishing, that is a huge accountability thing too. Because you are, if it's done correctly, you're putting yourself out there to say, I'm putting this out there not because I'm like, fuck you, here's what I'm doing and you can't keep up with me. You can't. It's more of I'm putting this out there so that I can look back and I can see that, okay, I'm doing this. And if all of a sudden those things stop, somebody can say, hey, what happened to all your stupid ass 4:30 a.m. running videos that you're putting up on Instagram, all of a sudden you're held accountable. Go, well, I took a couple of days off, or shin splints, or I twisted my ankle, or my mom's in town. Whatever the reason happens to be. So I think accountability is huge for your, first and foremost with yourself. Hold yourself accountable, but then have somebody, especially if they're going kind of maybe not on the same path, but they're a couple steps ahead of you, and they can kind of be like, hey, come on, keep moving forward, or hey, you might encounter this. You start running 4, 5, 6 days a week, or you may run into this. You're running the same path every single day. Eventually that's going to get monotonous, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I got to turn left here. Try a new route, or maybe drive somewhere and run from there. So I think finding somebody that's kind of got that
more
same
experience.
Yeah, they got that, but they still have that focused mentality for that accountability factor. I think that's huge in fitness, and also in entrepreneurship, is to have a network of people who have been there, have made the mistakes, and will tell you are going to also make these kind of mistakes.
Yeah,
this is going to happen. You're going to run into this wall. Here's some ways to get through these challenges when they face you one-on-one.
Yeah, and I think as whether you're getting coaching or you're providing coaching, a lot of times it's not telling people what to do or how to do things. It's like sharing the mistakes that you made. It's like, hey, here's what I did that was definitely the wrong move. I don't know exactly what's going to be right for you, but I've always loved sharing what I have done wrong. And I think it does a couple things. It helps also just be more relatable in that sense. Right. So I think that's something that Jim would do too. Jim's been a guy that, clearly on the fitness side of things, he's got it dialed and has for years, but the humility behind just here's where I've struggled with it, or here, this has been part of my path to get to where I can be consistent, or to basically getting to where these people want to be.
Right.
I think that helps a lot. So.
And that can be tough too. Some people really do not like telling other people their mistakes or their failures.
Yeah.
That's why filters were invented, for every single social media app that's out there. It's ooh, I don't really like how I look today. Look, now I have the Buenos Aires filter on it, so I look much more beautiful. So you have to find people who are comfortable telling you, hey, yeah, I tried to do a half marathon, or I tried to venture into this. When I ventured into business, I ran into this, and it really was a struggle, and we had to, budget out some things a little bit better. You have to find people that are willing to open up in that kind of honesty, because it is a filtered world that we live in, because everybody wants to be like, oh no, yeah, I went into it and it was great. And, I started working out, and 6 weeks later I was, I had a 6-pack and I had my shirt off. It's just not the reality of how things
not
work.
Realistic. I like that John Gruden had that one this year where he's like, I don't want to hear about your dreams. I want to hear about your nightmares.
Right. Yeah,
that's it, man. Right on. Yeah. Makes sense. What's your
Gruden? You'd go on for days.
Yeah.
But we talked about resolutions a little bit, and I think maybe resolutions isn't the word, because this has just come up in conversation. I think goals maybe is more appropriate of what you should set up for yourself as you do head into 2020 and into any year. And maybe not it's a year, maybe it's a specific date, or it's an arbitrary date. Putting goals out there at intervals seems like that's a much more attainable route of going about things than January 1st, my goal is to lose 25 pounds, or my goal is to do this, because you're going to run into a certain point 5 days down the road, 6 days down the road, however far you get, and something's going to happen, and you're going to fall off the wagon a little bit. If you have a goal that's, hey, I want to start by, Jim talked about taking something out, removing something from my diet, removing something from, my daily routine. Okay, I'm just going to start by next Saturday, I want to get up 15 minutes earlier, or I want to have one less bottle of soda every day. Start taking those things out, and when you get to that end date that you set, your goal is accomplished, and you feel like you can move. You can kind of step. It's more of a staircase than it is this, straight up line that you have to run up.
Once you start doing it more consistently, it's less of a thing that you have to be as conscious of. Mm-hmm. It's a habit at this point.
Right.
It could be as simple as I'm going to put my phone away at night after 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. My screen time's too much. So I'm going to start doing that. Before you know it, you just know when I get home, I kind of just put my phone down. I don't touch it.
Right.
And that's kind of the last thing. And so you don't have to focus on it. Then you can open up the opportunity for a new goal. Mm-hmm. When we have people come in, or in general, regardless of if it's business or fitness or life, you have too many goals, you start to juggle. And you start to only put in half effort towards each one.
Right.
So just narrow it down to one thing that you are wanting to change. Mm-hmm. backtrack that plan and only work on that one piece. Because once you work on that piece and establish those habits to get there, then it's kind of minute. It's like, all right, that's there. Time to work on the next piece. In fitness, I look at it as, all right, if people come in often, it's a pull-up. All right. And then they start getting pull-ups. And then we go, okay, I got pull-ups. We're going to work on them as often now. And then they go, well, I want to do chest to bar pull-ups. And then I want to do bar muscle ups. And now, so that's what's fun in the fitness realm is there's always that next step. So if you take an individual that's, been doing this stuff for, 4 years like Adam, and you take somebody that's brand new in the door, they're going to look at him and be like, man, he's doing toes to bar. I can't do that yet. And be like, well, he didn't do that day one.
Right.
And Adam's still right now thinking, he goes, man, I want to be able to do more of those in a row at this point. I can do 5. This guy's like, well, here's how we start. And then keeping in perspective and moving in that direction, but saying like, all right, I'm going to do what I can do right now. It's in my control, piece by piece, and only work on that one piece.
And it's like a lot less overwhelming,
Right.
I think to do one thing at a time and to move through things one thing at a time. And it's getting that gratification each time you accomplish something. I guess I think people like, it goes, we keep saying that, like you want to fix everything at once, that 0 to 60, versus just kind of starting with those disciplines and doing one thing. Cause I think we all know like the small tweaks have the biggest impact, and that's like exciting for me to think about, because it makes me think I can make some small tweaks, and you always could, because you could always take an outside perspective of what you're currently doing, and somebody could say, well, why don't you do this? And a lot of times it's advice that would probably be beneficial to you, in some capacity. That's why there's so many like consultants in the world, right? There's like a consultant for everything. Right. And a lot of times it's just good people with good business acumen that can look at a scenario, or a fitness consultant, whatever, that they
have
whatever
made those mistakes.
And they can just kind of take a look at what somebody's doing and make a few suggestions. Typically, they're not the biggest changes that they would need to make, but they can have huge impact. I mean, that's what's so cool about I guess having accountability, like we were saying, having somebody else in the mix, if you allow that to happen, like in your space. If you take a little advice, and you don't have to take it all, you don't have to become indoctrinated by things, but be a sponge of like what you want to learn, like, what makes sense, what resonates with you, and you can internalize that. And that's how you get to move forward with it,
How important is it, and I think this falls into both the business category and into fitness, how important is it to ask questions, to find somebody or a group of people or a network or even an online source?
Super important.
I can see people going into a fitness regimen or trying to start a new business, and depending on, and I guess on your mindset and kind of who you are as a person, you can go into both of these avenues with a very gruff, headstrong, I'm going to figure this out, I got this, I know what I need to do. And then again, that's where the wall comes in and you run into it and you're not the Kool-Aid man and you end up just falling, flat on your ass. So for you guys, in your ventures, both in business and both in fitness, how important is it to ask those questions and to have the confidence to ask questions of others that do have more experience than you in your related fields?
It's kind of like building up the how. Like we get some people coming with why, so we're asking these questions of how you're going to solve certain things. We're showing you the route to solve it. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think asking questions or having the humility to ask questions of others, and it doesn't even have to be people that are doing something, I guess, quote unquote, like better than you or anything, just in the same realm, or just taking advice from other people and allowing yourself, like I was saying, just kind of taking what you can from what they're saying and making that your own and moving forward with it. But like, as far as asking people things, that's how you figure out, what you're able to do. Like, I guess I'm trying to think of examples, the way I'm feeling it, but it's basically like, there's constantly things that we're thinking like, are we able to do this? Could we do this? Could we do this in our business? Could our website do this? Are we capable of this? And you're always thinking, it's like, well, go find out the answer. Like a lot of times, to your point of Googling things or whatever, like there's so much accessible information out there right now that I guess if you think about it, there's very little that we don't know, right? Like as far as what we could do or what we're capable of or how to do something, even in the fitness world or the business world, how many things are online out there that you can watch and witness and kind of make your own. Now, the trick is like, will you actually take all that and do it, right? And that's where I think the difference comes in with where we still have that human interaction to accomplish goals in this world. It's starting to get away from us. It's becoming more virtual. It's becoming more, I'll just download the subscription and go online, and that's how I'm going to work out every day, or that's how I'm going to learn to do this, social media marketing. That's how, I'm going to accomplish this next task in my life. But for a lot of people, they still want that human interaction, like where I still want to go to the gym and I want that accountability and that community and those members and getting to know people and accomplishing something together. I think that still exists. It's just becoming different these days a little bit. So
when you have, I think, any goal, whether it's fitness related, business related, I want to be a better husband or I want to be a better parent, all these things.
Yeah.
But I think more so in something that's really stepping out of a comfort zone. And I think both the podcasts that we had with both of you gentlemen, there's something that we brought up is the comfort zone is where I'm not sure the percentage. We'll go with 70 because that seems
70
seems to be where things. I think about 70% of the population really enjoys that comfort zone and finds that stepping out of it, even a toe out of it, is automatically that foot comes back in because they don't want to feel the pressure. If it's running or walking and they get to a certain point, they want to stop, or they have an idea for, I think I have an idea for a new invention or a new product, or, this would really help. They don't want to step out of that comfort zone. Sometimes it is a personal thing. Sometimes it's because of those people around you that are trying to keep you in that comfort zone. I reference back to that friend that's giving you the cigarette on Friday night and saying, hey, come on, I'm going to step out of the building right now. And we're going to go grab a smoke. And sometimes you can fall back into that trap of, oh, okay, yeah, I'll come back down to, I know I was working towards this, but, my comfort zone is, this habit that I have. Are there any secrets or pieces of advice you can give to people that face that challenge of, man, it's maybe they really want to, but as soon as they step out of that zone, as soon as they get into an uncomfortable state, they just, retract back, or someone tells them, hey, God, you really want to, quit your job and start your own business? That doesn't seem like that's something that's really safe. You want to get up and go running in the morning? There's ice outside on the roads, man. Come on, it's cold out. Hypothermia, bears.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be roadblocks. Mm-hmm. The sad truth to that is also those roadblocks can be the people that are the most close to you.
Right.
They can be your friends, they can be your family, they can be your parents, and it's one of those things where those questions don't all have answers. Mm-hmm. You're going to kind of learn that as you go. Some of your, that friend that doesn't want you to quit your job and build your own business, maybe because they feel threatened by your success, and then you'll surpass them, and then you won't want to be their friend anymore. So I always say some of the things that we try and do is surround ourselves with like-minded people.
Right.
Is probably the key. I'm not saying you don't have to be friends with those people, but if your goal isn't to, I'm going to use an example with a member. She is one whose friends like to go out to microbreweries and drink craft beer. Mm-hmm. All right. And she was joining for weight loss goals. And we were talking a little bit about it. And I said, well, you can still go with your friends. It's just a difference of portion. Yep. Do you have to be down in, 5-6 beers when you go out with them? Well, no. Are they still your friends if you're not drinking? Well, yeah. I go, then they're good friends. You can keep them. Yeah. All right. And then from there, she started to have weight loss. And I go, how's it going? She goes, well, I started to have smaller, because she likes the taste of the craft beer.
Right.
And then I started having a water between every time. Mm-hmm. And I was sipping on a water. I was still engaging in conversation, still having fun. And then I'd sip on another flight. Instead of drinking a full flight and buying a pint of another one, then having 2 pints and having to call an Uber, she was like, yeah, I maybe had one beer that night in the equivalent of 4 samples.
Right.
And I had, 3 glasses of water. Mm. And that was what my night looked like. And I also felt good. I came in and worked out the next morning. And I'm like, those are really positive changes.
Yeah, like the small things again, right?
Back to little things. And she's going to consistently do that,
Yeah.
And another thing, too, is understanding that's the consistency piece. So you have to be consistent with all those facets, even if it's just a little bit. If you didn't feel like running and you walked, big deal. You walked.
Right.
All right. It's better than not doing anything at all. All right. So I don't know. It's when you get in that personal realm, sometimes I just try to stick what's in my profession. I have made this mistake in the past, and I will share the story. About 3 years ago, I was talking with the gentleman who was in. He wasn't getting the results he was hoping for with the program, so I decided to sit down with him and have a one-on-one, just a 15-minute conversation. And I learned that he was going out often and partying, right? And I was like, partying, huh? And I'm like, so what do you mean by partying? Like, just going for a few drinks? He goes, no, I'm getting drunk. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit different. I go, is it like one day a week you go out? And he goes, no, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I'm like, maybe if I was 22.
I was like, yeah.
But it was a different, remember, we had goals on that. And I didn't really think, and I approached it, I didn't differently. And I said, well, you need to find new friends. That's what I said.
Wow.
He never came in again. This is somebody who was with us for almost 6 months. I said, well, you need to find new friends. I basically personally attacked him, not personally attacked, but I did say like, and he's looking at me, these are people who care about me and are my friends. And I just said, well, you need to ditch those friends. I didn't, 3 years later, I took a softer approach, talked about what's something we can do. What are you willing to do? Because I know, hey, buddy, if you're going to go out and party this hard 3 days a week, it's probably not very good. Mm-hmm. There's probably a bigger underlying issue that's outside my realm of expertise.
Right.
And maybe, I could have helped in a different fashion as opposed to.
That's pretty cool though. That's the classic, like learning from mistakes. Like you experienced it, can't change it, but you can move forward, and then you get to help the next person in that way, And I think that's a big part of it. And like and going off of that, and going off to as far as Coop, like you're asking how do you get out of the comfort zone, or the advice around that, the willingness to do that as you design or develop these 2020 goals, or if you're doing first quarter goals. I don't know what you're looking at. But I guess the best advice for me in regard to being willing to get out of the comfort zone is knowing that it's always going to be there.
Right. It doesn't go away.
That'd be like my greatest advice is like, be willing to go out and make the mistake. Be willing. Right. We talked about this. I remember kind of going this direction on the first podcast when I was in here, and we talked about people looking for the perfect scenario in every area before moving forward. Right. And having that perfectly laid out, and just being willing to just maybe have a little bit of rough waters, being willing to navigate that a little bit, knowing that, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Like you can go back to that comfort zone most likely in some way or some fashion or some form if you really want to be there. But I think sometimes people feel like once they let go of that, it's, it's like all or nothing, and I don't really believe that to be true. I think there's a lot of ways in this world that you could rebound from a mistake, or rebound from a failed business, or if we're on the personal side and failed fitness goals. I think there's a lot of that. So you just have to be willing, I think, to step outside that comfort zone, take some chances, have some fun, make some mistakes. But no, it's really always there. I mean, it's like, if you just want that, but that's like we talked about too, it's like, that's just good. There's always going to be good there. So like, go chase great for a little while. Right. And like worst case scenario, maybe you end up back at good, but like best case scenario, you end up, doing something great. Right. So I think that's where you just got to be willing and able to go out and do that.
You said good and great. And that's the book with, is it Collins? Am I way off on that one? I don't know. Not Tim Collins. Anyway, that book, I read it 3 or 4 years ago, and what it taught me was I wasn't messing up as bad as I thought I was. And I think that's where when we get people that if they're en route and they're picking it apart and then they start making a little mistakes or they slip up a little bit, it's really, hey, it wasn't as bad as you're thinking it is. You're being kind of hard on yourself. What we need to do is restart and just keep going back, get back on the road. You kind of went off the median a little bit. And then pull it back on and get them refocused again. But
restart, refocus. It's like every day, right? Like,
pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, it just never ends. Like you can start whenever you want. I mean, and I think that's JB's point. Like as far as like, I love New Year's goals because you get the fresh start, you get the fresh plate. You really get excitement around that. But like really, it can just start any day. And I think that's what a lot of people are probably starting to do is like start to do some things like Jim was saying earlier. Start making some habits so it's not such a 0 to 60, as you really approach some of the more aggressive goals, I guess.
Jim was talking about if I was 22, I could probably pull a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe bloodies on Sunday, maybe, which usually leads into just beers after that, and then whirlwind of Monday. That's why Monday sucks so bad.
Exactly.
Flashbacks.
Now it wouldn't be Monday. It'd be like Wednesday night. I might feel.
Yeah, I might be able to walk without going.
I don't want to experience that
something about everything hurts. But age is something that gets brought up a lot, and I think it falls under the giant umbrella of an excuse. And is it much easier to start really a fitness regimen when you're younger? Absolutely. If you're an athlete in high school or even before that, or you go to college and you're part of a program, if you go to maybe some school for business and you have some kind of working knowledge of the ins and outs of the business world, so that puts you at that 22 to kind of 25 window. Yes, it is more than likely much easier to, especially nowadays, especially in 2019, where we do have access to every bit of information at the keystroke. But age is something that comes up in like, well, I can't do that because I'm 39. I can't, run a marathon because I'm this age, or maybe when I was younger, I, could have started a business, but now I have this, and this, that age factor can really deter a lot of people from, I think, going from that mediocre to okay, to good, to great, climb up that ladder, because that they feel like that number that's in their head or that's on their driver's license the year they were born somehow holds them back from being able to accomplish things in life because of whatever happened in the the years, from the date of birth till they start contemplating this. How do you get past, and this is a challenge, not a challenge necessarily that I've gone through, but something I've been referencing back to, but it's not, I had a 20-year career that I thought was going to be my lifelong career. And I had that part of my life figured out, and it went away. Oh my God, I'm going to be 40 and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life now. I got to figure things out. I'm too old to do this. I might as well just go back into what I was good at. I'm
go back to the comfort zone.
Exactly. Right.
There was a
because it's there.
Hello, old Fred. Who is this person that's going out on Thursday? They're doing happy hour because they need to be home by 9.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes me think of a Peyton Manning did a commercial. This was probably 10 years ago. He said, "Oh, you're past 30. You want 6-pack abs? Maybe just buy some bigger shirts." Yeah. So I think I think even the media will, and what we see witness to, all the models on Instagram, they're all 22 and fit and. But I think when you realize that we're living in such a different age, when you talk about taking care of yourself with what you eat, with what you have the ability to do, like, oh my gosh, you're 40 and you're out starting a business and you're running, and that's crazy. But you can do it. And I think that age factor, and I'm guessing Jim, you probably deal with a lot of people coming in from all age, from all age ranges, people that want to start new businesses and are asking Adam questions about how do I get this started. It's not. How do you help them say, just erase that fact? It doesn't matter how old you are. You can accomplish this.
Go ahead.
Fitness wise, I would say at any age you can come in and start getting better on your health and wellness and fitness. You can fix some sleep patterns. You can fix nutrition. You can add in some proper mechanics of how you move. I think that it can happen at any age, and we witness it every single day at Momentum. Business wise, it'd have to be the situation that I'd have to know where your current state is.
Right.
I would say it would be way more difficult for somebody, let's say 55 or so. And if they are 5 years out from retirement and pension, I would not advise them to quit their job and start a business.
Right.
I think that's a different case by case scenario. But that same 55-year-old person that may have been working really hard in a VP role on the road a lot and let their health go, and they had to sit down and maybe they had 90% blockage and they got a stent put in, and they're like, holy cow, I feel young. I feel like I should be doing this. Yeah, then we can definitely make changes and definitely help them at that specific point. But that's my two, both wellness and fitness or fitness and business. I'd be curious what you guys think about when's the time to do something.
Man, I think as far as age, as far as if it's too late or the feeling of, I guess we'll go back to that, because I think that's the big, that's the obstacle, right? Would be the feeling of that it's too late, or that I should have done it earlier. If I would have done it earlier, it would have been this much better, that type of thing. That's where I think you just have to allow, it's back to reality. But here we are. And we're back. So this is today, right? And it's surrendering a little bit of judgment on yourself of you didn't, right? So you had that idea 10 years ago, you didn't do it, you didn't, in your scenario, you didn't start working out, right? And so here we are. Right. So, but it's not too late, because I don't think it's ever too late, because none of us really know how long we're going to be around. None of us know how, that's why you got to appreciate everything every day. But it's what if you get another 30 years, and in this day and age, you can have a massive impact in 5 years. You can change things on the turn of a dime, whether it is in business or fitness, right? You're always able to do that. But I think people get hung up on the beating yourself up around I didn't do it and it's too late. So then I'm just going to stay in this pattern that I don't like. And to your point, Jim, the person that put themselves in a position and made it, just take it to the end zone, right? Just finish that thing out, and collect what you've been working for. But for the people that are when you ask them how things are going, it's oh, another day in hell, right? That attitude. If that's your attitude around what you're doing every day and that's your livelihood, that's a lot of hours in your life to be feeling like you're in hell. make the change. Who cares the age? Like, I think it's just, are you going to make the change? Are you going to commit? And are you going to be realistic with what are those changes, right? Like, what are you sacrificing to have your own path, or, if that's where we're going with this as far as on the business realm of things. But that's the biggest thing. I don't know why. I think we just overcomplicate a lot of things. And I'm practicing this, not preaching, as I always say, like, these are things I overcomplicate a million things, but I think that's what we do, is we just make things bigger than they are. And it's like, I think it's just worrying that we didn't do it before. And I think I got to imagine, Jim, in your realm, that's the biggest thing. Like, that's what I see with a lot of, like, now as I approach 40 and we're all hitting that age, and all my buddies, there's that feeling of like, oh, I got to get back in shape. Like, back to what shape, right? Like, that's what we've said before. Like, what, like back in high school, like 20 years ago, like, well, if you haven't been doing what you were doing in high school, we got some work to do, like, so what's the first goal? Maybe the first goal is to get to this level, right? And that's like what these guys are so good at, at Momentum, is like, step by step, all the hurdles you're going to get to do in this journey, right? Not just this destination, not this end goal. Because if you go in to Jim's gym, right, to Momentum, you'll know there really is like no end goal. Because as soon as you start feeling good about yourself, there's some beast next to you that's doing it 10 times better, 10 times bigger, 10 times stronger, and they're trying to get over their next hurdle, right? Like, everybody's chasing whatever. So, but yeah, I think rambling a little bit, but back to the original point, like, I just don't think it's ever too late to start. I just think a lot of people believe that, they place that belief in there, and they think like, they kind of beat themselves up. Should have done it earlier, would have been easier. Yeah, it's true, but you could still do it now. Yeah,
I think when I was growing up, I remember like thinking about the age of 40. Just, it sounded ancient. Like, it sounds like, okay, well,
over the hill.
Yeah, you're over the hill. Yeah. Black balloons. I mean, that was kind of the vision that you had. Oh yeah, so and so's we're going to their over the hill party, and it's all going to shit from here, and maybe just because of the way that we've progressed as a society and the way technology's progressed us, the way that some people don't give up on their health and fitness or their dreams and aspirations at age 22, and they're like, well, I had a kid, now it's all go to the job I hate every single day, and that beats me down, and I get home and I'm exhausted, and I hate my situation. I think we've kind of evolved to where like 40 really is the new 30 if it's not the new 25. And like looking at 50, and when you have if you look out into the world and you see what 50-year-olds are doing, and you go, wow, shit, like Joe Rogan, who I listen to his podcast and I follow his career just because he's had success in many different avenues. I mean, he's 53 and he's just like throttling life at this point and feeling better than he ever has. And I think when you look at that and you have that kind of mentality where like it's not black balloons when you hit 40. It's not like, okay, now, all right, we have to live out the right. I mean, you're not even at the halfway point yet. I mean, in a theoretical life, you could have 40 more years of impact on society, on your own life, on your physical fitness, making a
when you get like experience too, right? Like, that's the other thing I'd say, I guess, as far as people feeling like it's too late, is that you didn't start it back when you were 25, but you're also a lot brighter and a lot more experienced and a lot more knowledgeable than when you were 25. Like, if I think of the first career I started fresh out of college at 22, like, I don't know how to say it. Like, I was pretty bad in regards to like put me today up against that individual and go out and sell, right? Or go out and introduce yourself to business people and go out and get into that community. Like, but I just powered through that, and it worked. But the other side of that was like, for these people that didn't do it and still want to do it as they're receiving these black balloons or whatever, right? Like, understand and appreciate that you might be able to accelerate in certain avenues really quick now. Right? Like, you've hopefully at least came a long way since you've been 25, and learned a lot along the way. So that's one thing I think too, is, you could look at it both ways as far as when you start, but maybe going out, getting that experience, I don't know, maybe hating what you do for a while, maybe suffering through a few careers, maybe going that path, like, will give you that fire under your ass to make sure the next thing happens. Right. And not only do you have that fire and that passion to make that next thing happen, you're just a lot more experienced individual. Like, you bring a lot more talent to the game, most likely, hopefully. Right? Yeah. So
definitely.
As we look at 2020 coming up, the change of the decade, there's no big, we all lived through Y2K and the frenzy that was like, scary. Oh my gosh, it's. And like the people, like if you're like realist, you're like, well, nothing's really going to happen until it was like 11:59:50. You're like,
Everybody just
shit. What if something like really does? Like what if? What if? But it did. I mean, we figured it out. The computers didn't turn on us. Now we're just worried about AI and robots that are going to eventually own us all. But things that you guys have in your routines, in your like little anecdotal things that you've taken from books or taken from other people that you've implemented as part of your kind of model of your day or your life. Like I make sure that I always do this, and this is kind of just now part of who you are. Because I think people need like those just little itty bitty changes. We kind of talked about that, those little things that they can just add on to their life, whether it's getting up 15 minutes earlier, or it's taking a cold shower, or it's, getting out and getting some sunshine when we have it, which is a rarity if you're from up in Wisconsin this time of year. But things that you guys do in your life, or things that you would offer advice for people to do as we approach the new year, like try doing this, try adding this to your day, and you could see improvement in maybe just your overall mindset.
Sure. I don't want to overuse this term, but I always think about staying grateful in a way. I kind of look at like where this journey has been for me. March will be 7 years that I every dime I had in my name went in to buy momentum. And it's 7 years. It happened in technically November, but the actual final date after all the wheedling and dealing was in March. And I look back on 7 years and I'm like, geez, at this time I was living in a duplex with 2 other guys, and then my wife and I got married, and my wife and I bought our first house. We sold a house, we bought another, like all these very, very positive things. And looking back on that and understanding like all that hard work happened, like all this stuff happened for a reason. Yeah, you're gonna have sleepless nights, and I'm ridiculously thinking if that happens in the future, it won't. Yes, it's gonna happen again. Right. Other stressors are gonna happen. That's gonna happen. But looking back and just having a grateful, like, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm so happy I did that. That's
probably for the opportunity, right? Yeah. Like the opportunity to do what we're doing, even like do whatever you're doing. I think I love that would be your answer, like just being grateful for it, because I think like just the ability to get up and move, there's a lot of people that don't have that ability, right? Whether it's you getting up, you're doing your crazy runs that I see at, I don't know, 4 in the morning or whatever. It's dark. Yeah, I know that.
It's the end of the night for that 22-year-old. They're going, I'm just getting home, and who's that dumbass out there?
Oh my God.
But it's like being grateful for like you can do that, and there's a lot of people that would give anything to be able to do that. Yeah. So I mean, if you're healthy and you're happy and you got some things going on, like you just got to be grateful. Because I had a good buddy of mine, we were talking, my wife and him and his wife, and they had made the comment that like, man, this world, we were talking about, we were trying to solve all the problems of the world, right?
So
we're talking about everything. Yep. Yeah. But it was like, this world is really challenging, even in the best of circumstances, right? Like, so there's a lot of people out there that don't have the best of circumstances. If you got some support, right, and if you got your health, like just being grateful is huge. So I would just echo off what Jim said there. And then as far as like advice or action steps to do, I'd kind of go back to where we were earlier when Jim mentioned like one thing at a time, and that started for me as far as like you said, did you get things out of a book from a mentor? One of my mentors, I guess you'd say, in the Aflac world, just the system of doing 2 things versus 10, right? Like if you have 2 goals, you'll probably do 2 goals that day. If you have 4 goals, you'll probably do 3. And if you have 10 goals, you probably won't do any, right? Like you won't. So like, finding the real priority ones and writing those down on the notepad, not the, like there's, me and my wife always joke, there's 100 things we're going to do today that I don't need to write down, because I have to do them. Like the business has to operate in certain areas, but there is always those 1 or 2 things that I want to do, right? That small thing that we talked about that would have the big impact. That's what I got to write down. Like, and I just got to write it down and have my system to how I push that through. But the other things, I know a lot of people like to write things down just to check them off, but like
walk up the stairs.
Done.
Did that one every day.
Twice today.
Yeah.
Owned it.
Yeah. But I guess, so for me, that's what it is. Like if you're the goals that you're going after, do the ones, do them one at a time, but do the ones that you're actually changing something to accomplish, not the things that just have to happen. Like, don't put down like, well, I'm going to finish my emails today. That's got to happen. Right? Like,
gotta send that.
Yeah. But so that would be my advice in regards to how people, because people are about to approach like the new year, and you're going to have all these goals, and you're going to have all this excitement. And like we talked about earlier, like that's all future type stuff. Be excited about the future, but find a way to be excited about the path that is going to get you there. You have to be willing to do the day-to-day.
Be in the moment.
Yeah, like you have to be willing to stay there. And like we said, when it's the rah Friday night and I'm going to do all this stuff, when it's time to actually do that stuff, like finding that inner motivation, that self-motivation to get up and move. That's going to make the difference. Again, the theme, I guess, today is like fitness and business, and it all goes hand in hand. And right, I mean, all of it revolves around goals and goal setting, and it's all just everyday routines and disciplines that we're doing. So I think just simplifying it down to that, do it one at a time, keep moving through.
Yeah, I think both are huge. Gratitude is one of those things that I think every individual, whether it's a book or whether it's an audio book or whether it's a podcast, however you introduce yourself to a world that's a motivated world, that's one of the big things that every successful person is grateful for, where they're at, where they've come from, the lessons they've learned, even the shit stuff. I'm really thankful that bad experience happened, because I learned so much from that.
For sure.
Or I made that bad decision, and that led to this outcome. This outcome taught me these many things. So I'm thankful that happened, because that outcome has flourished into something else. Are there books that you can recommend? I know you guys mentioned a couple of different authors out there, people that you have gone to in the past or continue to go to, that if you're needing that extra encouragement, if you're needing that kind of motivation, that spark or that idea, that you guys go, I recommend, if you're starting a fitness journey, if you're starting a business, or if you're just trying to create, I think, that present mindset, which is huge, to live in that moment but still have those goals. Are there individuals out there that you guys would recommend to the listeners who are maybe getting that inspirational thing and like, but they need to have that kind of on a consistent basis? Who are some people that are out there that you
Jim, I'll let you take that. I'm like not the book guy. Like I've read a lot of good books.
I just finished a book, and I actually was down in Austin, Texas 2 weeks ago for a seminar with Ben Breuer on Chasing Excellence, and I finally finished Chasing Excellence. So if anyone's wants to get something, I would say more motivational self-help in a way,
right.
He tells his story about building mindset on the fittest athletes on earth. And the big one that you got to remember, so he trains the fittest athletes on earth. And what I mean by that is just a little bit about CrossFit. You go back 10 years in exercise physiology books, they said there will be no way that an athlete can deadlift 500 pounds and run a 5-minute mile. And it's going to happen.
Right.
And we already have athletes right now in the CrossFit realm who can deadlift 500 pounds and run pretty close to a 5-minute mile.
Wow.
So things are constantly changing there. And he talks about what he does with athletes at the fittest on earth level, because you're talking the fitness side of the first place finish to the person who is in last. There's nothing that's much different from a conditioning standpoint. It's 100% the mental side. So he talks about how he trains the mental side in that book. So it's called Chasing Excellence by Breuer. And then when I just started for a small business developments, the E-Myth. So I'm literally looking forward to diving into that one. His big quote was, never stop learning. And another one was always be communicating. So as you start to develop relationships with people, communicating your message to people is going to be one of the biggest things. And for my business moving into next year, that is something that we are really working on, is to always be communicating what our mission is, not to just our team, but also our members. So everyone's going to know our core values. Everyone's going to know why we do what we do, why we walk in the door, why they do what they do and walk in our doors. And that's something moving forward where we're really going to be taking a big push into next year. Yeah. Because having that stuff made isn't only going to solve people's problems, but it's going to solve any problems that we have. If I have an issue with a member, issue with a coach, I can solve that problems when I go back to my core values of my mission statement of my why, or why we're doing it, and that will solve itself. So that's what we're doing. Those are the 2 books. Adam's on his victory lap right now,
Yeah.
He just got done. Black Friday was like 2 days ago. So so we could ask.
I haven't been reading lately.
He's been shipping labels. But, we talk about rewards along the way. So I'm curious, Gardner, what are you guys doing? What are you just doing for the reward along the way now? Black Friday. Mexico. Cool.
Viva
yeah,
la
I mean,
Mexico.
like you always gotta. Yeah, I mean, I think there's always that's the delayed gratification, like rewarding yourself a little bit, and I think that's what for us it's travel. Like, I mean, that's been the motivation from in my Aflac days and through the insurance world. I really kind of fell in love with travel because of the the incentive trips and everything. So leaving it, that was like that was a big focus for me and my wife. Like, all right, we're going to leave this, but remember this career. I mean, not only did it do well for us, but it also sent us somewhere like a couple times a year, right? So we have to continue that in our own business, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been able to do that. So yeah, we head out and we're going to do a little travel. We call it like 2 seasons in Wisconsin, right? There's summer, which is like lake season, and then there's travel season. get the hell out of Wisconsin.
Little road construction all mixed in there at once.
Yeah. So that'll be our reward for another crazy holiday.
Another
season.
Job well done.
Job well done. Yeah, we pulled it off. Yep.
And I think maybe that's an important reflection back when we've talked about setting those goals is when you accomplish something, it's okay to pat yourself on the back.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
okay to, reach a certain milestone or something that you had set forth before yourself and say, hey, when we get here, it's okay to take that moment, or that vacation and say, man, we just kicked ass for the last, year, or especially this time of year for you guys, hustling after everything. It's okay to say, man, I can't believe we got through that. Let's go and take that moment. And delayed gratification is again, I think that comes from as reading up on Spartan, that's my plan for 2020 is to do the 3 Spartans to do the trifecta.
Oh, right.
And that's one of the things is preached in that kind of lifestyle, in the Spartan lifestyle is, are you able to delay your gratification and how far can you delay it? Can you push yourself, knowing if you run a mile and then you push yourself to do 2 and you go, after you're done, that's where you get that gratification going, wow, I did that. Yeah. Or I know that, the holidays as we're in the midst of them and there's fucking cookies flying around here. Like it's, we got the Pillsbury Doughboy on one end and the Keebler Elves are on the other side. They're just playing tug of war with each other. So there's all that stuff's accessible. But if you're going to get up and you're going to get after it in the morning, you're going to head over to Momentum and you're going to get your 5 a.m. in and do your workout of the day, get through that. And then it's okay. Like you're going to don't punish yourself for, okay, I went out and I achieved my goals for the day, the week, the month, the year, this quarter. Now I'm able to say, man, you really got after it. You kicked ass. It's okay to thank yourself and whatever means that you decide to do that.
Oh, for sure. You got to do that.
I can't wait to get to that point. Pretty soon I'm going to get myself some of my own
Let us
beer.
know.
I can't afford it yet.
We'll get those Keebler Elves, some old fashions, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, they're upstairs. I was on a couple of buddies of mine, a couple of young entrepreneurs of mine have their own podcast. I was on it last week, and that was one of the things that we brought up is like you drive and you drive and you drive and you go and you go and you go, and if you get too far past it, you miss out on all the great things that you accomplished. So having that reflection again, where gratitude comes in hugely in that, is you say, wow, I'm really thankful that I have my health and I'm able to do this, that my family has my health. Look at where we've come from.
Heck yeah.
In this short period of time or in this long period of time, we're playing the long game. So yeah, really take every day in and keep moving forward. Yeah, gents, thank you so much for the time coming in on a weekend, and it's the busy season.
Thanks for having
family
us.
coming in,
it was a pleasure, Coop.
family flying out, and it's we're all living like the Griswolds over here.
Yeah.
It's just madness. But here's to 2020, and I think we'll put in the show notes some of the references you guys made, and of course links to Hello Adorn and Momentum Fitness if people want to reach out and get a hold of you guys. Follow you both on the social medias. And follow the show as well. Welcome to Cooperville is on there. You can see what these guys keep on referencing, and that's this idiot getting up stupidly early and running when it's 7 below zero.
In the dark.
I do like the music selections though.
Yeah. I know.
I think we
so
definitely,
it's so eclectic.
Definitely see eye to eye on the same music.
Yeah. Especially when I throw in a little Bing Crosby. Flows in there once in a while.
You know what? We need to get some sleigh bells too. So when you're running, the ching of some sleigh bells going with some jingle. Some,
and again,
Christmas
the
music.
obstacles that you have to overcome are, one, your music selects you when you're running.
Yeah.
And also, I've actually gotten over because I've been doing it for so long, is the local police department that follows me around for at least a block or two the first couple of times. Because especially when
what's he running from?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're looking for bears or and in the winter I run, I got a face mask over me, so it looks like I just robbed Quick Trip.
Oh, you've got a face mask. Yeah, then you're asking for it.
He's pacing really well for a guy that just,
stole a box full of Glazers. Someone tase him.
This is delayed gratification. You got to wait till you get to the hideout before you have the Glazers, people. Thank you guys so much, Jim Breuer, Adam Gardner. Thank you guys for being on the podcast. And
thanks, Coop.
Happy holidays, and here's to 2020.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was a good one. I hope you guys took a lot out of that podcast. My friend Jim Breuer from Momentum Fitness and Adam Gardner from Hello Adorn. You guys know what they're talking about. So I hope you learned something today on the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. And I do have to say thank you and a happy new year to you. Hopefully you take some of the advice you learned today or throughout the course of the podcast and put it to use in the new year. Make 2020 your bitch. Own it. And while you're owning it, be sure, if you don't already, to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. I think that's it. Yeah. LinkedIn. Just search Welcome to Cooperville. You will find the podcast. Like it, follow it, share it with your friends, because we really think that we're pushing out some great content, great information, great knowledge for some great guests who can help you on your journey, whatever journey that happens to be. Also, whatever platform you listen to the podcast on, whether it's on the Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or Stitcher or Spotify or YouTube, wherever, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. Let us know that you love the podcast, obviously, and tell your friends about it. We're trying to spread the word, trying to get people motivated and into their groove and living their best life. That's what it's all about. # Welcome to Cooperville. Thank you so much. Here's to a great 2020.